From various locations via the miracle of Skype, it's the 40th anniversary season of the LTN Hour. Let's talk NASCAR with your host, Todd Bailing, co-hosts Brian Schmidt, PJ Noodleman, and producer Dangerous Dan Margetta. Call the show anytime at 414-421-7901. And now, the creator and host of the fastest hour in radio, Todd Bailing.
Nice to have you as we enter the Olympic break. 2 weeks off of racing, at least in NASCAR racing. Glad you could join us. Todd Bailing in Greendale, Wisconsin, joined by my three partners, beginning with Brian Schmidt out in Oostburg, USA. Morning, Brian.
Morning. Yeah, it seems kind of strange. This is the first morning we're waking up without a NASCAR race this weekend since, early February? Really strange.
Not just that, but, a 2-week break in the middle of summer for NASCAR. Hard to believe. Our own PJ Noodleman in Trempolo, USA. Hi,
Hey. Happy to be here. Looking forward to another great show.
And Dan Margetta, our producer, director, who's in St. Francis, Wisconsin.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, it's kind of odd to have 2 weekends off in a row. I'm trying to think of the last time that happened. And it's got to be great for the teams that have been doing this every week. Are you going to want to go back after 2 weeks off?
Yeah, they need a little refresher. I think a little something to recharge the batteries and watch. This will be suddenly a good idea for everybody to do in the middle of the year, and they'll try to put this into contract negotiations. By the way, Dan, you didn't get a hell of a lot of sleep last night, did you now?
It wasn't too bad. I got home about 1:30. I was out in Wausau for the ASA Midwest Tour race, working one of the cameras. I got called kind of late, so I found out about it Friday night and trekked out there yesterday with friend Dan Casey came along and had a good time and got back about 1:30 last night, so not too bad.
So you worked.
When I was younger, I used to do it all the time, and I went to the bars.
not in Wausau, you didn't.
Look at you staying in shape, Dan. Proud of you.
Yeah. Nice job for your age. The last race we had was at Indianapolis last week. And, of course, I was at Rich Bickle's wedding and had to record the race and watch it later. And so when I finally went through and all this screaming about it, I'm thinking, what's everybody bitching about? And I watched, and I thought, this is not a bad race here. Let's and we get down to 3 laps to go, and then my DVR says, well, we're going to switch from NBC to USA. And I didn't see the last 3 laps. Apparently that was a pretty big deal. No, I did see it later in the week. I found it again, and I watched it. And Kyle Larson, there were a couple things there that the first one obviously was Keselowski running out of gas as they're coming up for the green. Is there a rule, whether unwritten or written or under the EIRI last page of the rule book, that says the inside row or any row can just move up if somebody pulls off the track at the last minute and then get a jump?
I think that's always been the case, that they just move up. They don't crisscross if that happens.
Yeah, and I heard
that would be a cluster.
Elton Sawyer talked about it this week, and he said that's the way they would have done it. He said even if they would have thrown a caution, since they already, if they would have aborted the green flag, they wouldn't have re-choosed again. So that kind of is what it is. I mean, you see that on the local level too. If somebody, doesn't start or doesn't show up, you just move the row up. It did change, though, to have Blaney become the control car. And on that start, Blaney he didn't really get a good start. So I don't think he, had to do it all over again. Maybe he would have had a little bit better start and would have been able to race Kyle a little bit better. But Kyle was just ready for that start.
He was.
I think what happened with the 6 car pulling off, the 12 doesn't know he's a control car, so he's waiting on the 6 car to go. He doesn't know he starts it. Then all of a sudden the 6 car is gone, and boom, you're the control car now. And I think that's just so much happening in such a short amount of time. And the 5's got a little bit of a run anyways because he's moving up to get up a roll. It just, didn't work out great for Ryan Blaney. Maybe they should have go another lap and then start again, but then people complain it takes too long. Yeah.
I think going forward now, spotters are going to be on top of that too. That probably caught a spotter off guard as well. Going forward now, if anything like that were to happen again, which who knows how long it'll be before it happens, spotters, will say, oh, the 6 is pulling off. Ryan, you're you go now.
That's a lot of information in a very short
Yes, it is.
time. So that was only the first half of the problem, and that was not even part. I mean, when you look at the big picture, that was small potatoes, because Ryan Preece spinning with 2 laps to go was the real key to the race. Okay, yeah, I understand we're going to wait to get it's a big track. He's got plenty of time to get it refired and move on. And so we're going to let him race for this thing. Yeah. Let's do what everybody wants. Let's race to the end. Well, it didn't exactly work out like they wanted, because I don't think anybody really realized that Ryan Preece not only spun, but ran out of gas at the same time. At least that's what we found out later in the week from Preece himself. So here you've got Kyle Larson coming up to take the white flag with a car dead in the water off the second turn. And they were thinking, well, we're going to have a caution here. It's no brainer. Here comes the caution. It wasn't a caution. And therefore, Kyle Larson won the Brickyard 400 last week on what I would consider to be a bad call from NASCAR. Now, NASCAR, they doubled down. No, Elton Sawyer, we made the right call. He's a competition director. We figured for sure he was going to get going, even though he hadn't moved in how long? I don't know. It seemed like 30 seconds, And so I think NASCAR screwed up and just said, no, we always make the right call. We're NASCAR. They're a little arrogant way about them. And either way, now, no matter how he did it, Kyle Larson wins the Brickyard 400. Another crown jewel in the event in the career of Kyle Larson. I, by the way, did pick him last week. I didn't think it was going to end up to be such a cluster. Yeah, I knew what was going to happen there. PJ, you had the 12 car, and I think you probably should have, won that thing. But of course, I'm not apologizing. It was
Kyle had a good car there, though. Let's face facts. He passed a lot of cars to get from where he was to where he ended up there. So would he have been able to hold off Blaney? I don't know. And if they would have done another restart, would Blaney have had enough fuel? I don't know. So
woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Yeah.
And would we wreck again and we restart them again? It'd probably be another mess. I was at that Casey Kane one when there was crash after crash after crash. And it was like after the 5th or 6th one, we're just like, just to get this thing over with.
That's why I'm not sad they did what they did there, on a big track. And yes, I'm a Kyle Larson fan, so I like that he won the race as well. But we had a bleep show at Nashville a couple weeks earlier where we tried to restart it and we ran I don't know how many extra laps and how many more restarts. So to do this on a big track like that where you have enough time and they didn't know he was out of fuel, so you assume he's going to drive away. I was all right with it. I don't think it would have changed the ending.
You're probably right. Well, by the way, as far as the points go, I think that we have ourselves a little bit of drama. The 16th and final spot is now only 7 points. Last week it was 27 points. So that's a significant chunk as the time is running out. Ross Chastain is 7 points above the line, and Bubba Wallace is 7 points below the line. Buescher appears, right now, Buscher's okay, 21 points ahead, even though, we made up 20 points last week's race. So, it could change. Gibbs looks like he's fairly safe with more than a race full of points at 46, and Truex, by the way, at 112 ahead. Now, those are the cars that have not won, and that's where the real key is, because anybody wins from that group, and there's a pretty good, group of cars that could win. It's amazing to me that Truex hasn't already won, but
can you imagine if Buescher would somehow miss? Can you imagine if Buescher would somehow miss? Didn't he come within inches of winning like 2 races this year?
Yeah, and one of them pissed him off pretty good too, because I don't have a sticker on my car like you have on your car, which seemed out of character for Buescher, who's a very calm, demeanored young man. Well, sometimes, that doesn't work out that way. We've got a great show for you tonight. Today, we have a couple of guests, and I think you're going to be surprised when you hear who's all going to be on this program, and we'll be right back.
Get ready for the return of IndyCar to the Milwaukee Mile.
The NTT IndyCar Series returns to Milwaukee August 30th through September 1st for the Hy-Vee Milwaukee Mile 250s weekend.
Don't miss the first IndyCar event at the historic 1 Mile Oval since 2015, featuring an NTT IndyCar Series doubleheader with races on both Saturday and Sunday. Check out the free fan fun zone with live music, great food, and family fun all weekend long.
Get your tickets now at wistatefair.com and join us for a Labor Day weekend celebration at the Hy-Vee Milwaukee Mile 250s.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
The NASCAR playoffs begin Sunday, August 25th at the historic Milwaukee Mile. Tickets are on sale now for the Lionel 175 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race. Witness Wisconsin's own Ty Majeski and defending Milwaukee race winner Grant Enfinger race for it all. The Sunday, August 25th NASCAR doubleheader kicks off with the Sprecher 150 ARCA Menard Series at high noon. Tickets start at $40. Kids 12 and under are free. It's NASCAR playoffs time in Milwaukee. Visit MilwaukeeMileRacing.com to get your tickets today.
This is The Herd.
Wow, 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 wow.
With Colin Cowherd.
If you want to see the Caitlin Clark effect, here it is. Bad team, small market, and they are worth more, the Indiana Fever, than the Los Angeles Sparks, the Dallas, Atlanta, Washington teams, and almost equal to a team in Chicago.
This is The Herd.
Weekdays 3 to 6 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
Welcome back to the 40th anniversary season of Wisconsin's lone racing radio show. Glad you could join us. And for the first time in our 40-year history, and this is pretty exciting for all of us involved with the program, we have the CEO of the Wisconsin State Fair on the phone with us, ready to talk about racing at the traditional heartbeat of Wisconsin track. Sherry Black joins us. Sherry, it's a real honor to have you on the program.
Well, it is an honor to be on the program. Thank you.
Sherry, going back to my childhood, I grew up going to all the races at the fairgrounds, you know, from IndyCar to NASCAR to the old ASA and all that kind of stuff. And then, about, the mid 2000s or whatever, we started losing that. And a lot of us thought, we're not going to see racing again at the State Fair Park. And then all of a sudden it started bringing back again with Track Enterprises Group and now with IndyCar there. I guess just talk about the process of how we went from having no racing there to now having, multiple premier races there, with both NASCAR, ARCA, and IndyCar there. It's got to be quite a process to go from nothing back up to where we are now.
It has taken a few years, and I can share with you that when I came to Wisconsin State Fair, I began in our event services department, which oversaw all of our year-round events, so that includes racing. And I believe it was, so I started in 2016, and I think Bob Sargent came to me in 2018 and said, I think that we can get racing back. So he and I started working to find ways we could make that happen, and there were a lot of concessions on Wisconsin State Fair Park's end. We had to kind of change the way that we did things. And I think that that's really what helped with getting Bob back involved with the ARCA series. And then he kind of grew that from there and was able to get the NASCAR Truck Series. But then it was really some help from the governor's office that helped us get Mr. Penske in with IndyCar. And I think that that's just really what has now made everything kind of happen for us. We use some of our private program revenue funds, some of our foundation funds, as well as some help from the state to make the improvements that were necessary to bring in that top-tier IndyCar racing.
And Sherry, you have several different packages available, including an option for tickets with the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, which is the weekend before the IndyCar event, right?
That is correct, yes.
And the fact that you have NASCAR coming in with the trucks, that might bode well maybe in the future to get even more of the NASCAR series, perhaps?
That is certainly the goal when we set out with NASCAR. Bob Sargent has a great relationship with them, and so he is the one that really kind of brought them in, and we hope that that is something that can continue to grow, certainly.
That's awesome.
Sherry, coming up this week is the State Fair, which is another big, probably your biggest event of the year. It's going to be followed by the IndyCar race right after it. But this IndyCar weekend is kind of going to feel like State Fair and Harvest Fair, isn't it? Because you got that kind of element as well to go along with the racing.
Well, I think that's kind of how we're putting a little bit of a twist on the traditional race event that we have at State Fair Park. With us being involved as the promoter, I think it's helping bring a little bit of that fun atmosphere that we have during State Fair and Harvest Fair. It will be pared down, certainly, but it will be similar to the footprint of Harvest Fair. But a number of our great vendors are going to open up. They've brought in some bands. We brought in some bands. We're having Ian Munsick will be there Friday night, and Saturday night we have Quiet Riot, as well as other bands playing throughout the day. And all of this portion is free. So if you're someone that's kind of interested in racing, you haven't really been a part of it before, I think this is a great way for you to come see the atmosphere that's there, and then you can purchase a ticket to go into the grandstand and actually watch the race. Otherwise, you are welcome to stay out within the park. A number of vendors, like I said, they're serving some great food and will be open, so you can just kind of come be a part of it all that Labor Day weekend.
Sherry, talk a little bit about how the process went to have State Fair themselves work with IndyCar to promote this event. I mean, most State Fair organizations or tracks, even county fair tracks, have a promoter that promotes the events there. But it's kind of interesting that this one here is just basically State Fair and IndyCar. Talk about a little bit how that worked out.
Well, I think that having the support from the governor's office as well as our State Fair Park board to try something different really is what enabled us to take this new approach. We know that we have had several promoters come to the Milwaukee Mile, and some have been very successful and some others maybe not quite as successful, but we wanted to try something different, and that's really how we came up with this, being a promoter ourselves and working with IndyCar to bring back racing.
And then I need to jump back to all the different packages. I know you've got some that involve, like I mentioned, tickets for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race on August 25th, but you also have some with the IndyCar weekend that include a garage pass. You've got camping options. So if folks want to explore everything, how should they go about getting their tickets? What's the best way to do that?
The best way is to go to our website, Wisconsin State Fair Park, which is wistatefair.com. And they can find their, as you mentioned, there are daily passes, there's weekend passes, garage passes. Everything is listed on there, and you can purchase anything that you prefer. The other thing is if you go to our website under ticket deals right now for State Fair, if you purchase an IndyCar ticket, you get a free ticket to State Fair, as well as NASCAR also has a package deal like that. So we are pairing up to get people to as many of our events as we possibly can at a really great price.
And I see so this week the fair starts, the actual Wisconsin State Fair starts on Thursday, and I guess Friday you're going to have IndyCar driver Will Power there. He's going to play some drums in a band, I guess.
What?
No, I don't. Are we? What? I don't even know that.
That's
I don't think so. Just for race
Friday.
day. Yeah, they are coming in. We're going to have race day at the park. Don't believe there's any drums involved, but we'll have some show cars out there, and I think it'll be a great way to introduce some new race fans to IndyCar, as well as NASCAR. It's both.
Oh, that's
Well,
funny.
and at the end of the day, I think racing is just good to hear roaring again at the Milwaukee Mile. So we certainly appreciate all the effort that you guys have been making to bring more series to the track. In particular, if having the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series there could be a stepping stone to get the higher tier series of NASCAR back to the mile, that would be an incredible coup.
No kidding.
It would, and schedules change every year, so it would certainly be a big win for us if we could get NASCAR's top tier racing back.
Talking with Sherry Black, the CEO at the Wisconsin State Fair, and I believe in the history of the track, you're going to go down as the person that was probably most responsible for bringing racing back on a major league level. We appreciate it. We certainly have tip our cap to you. Best of luck, and let's fill that place up. All right, Sherry?
Well, thank you. And I must say it was certainly a joint effort between the governor's office, the Wisconsin State Fair Park Board, and, of course, our staff at Wisconsin State Fair. So I definitely do not deserve any type of credit. Everybody working together, and we hope that these relationships can continue for many years to come.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
That's beautiful.
Yes,
Thanks, Sherry. We do appreciate it. We're
All
going to
right.
sneak
Thank
away.
you so much.
We'll be back right after these.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358. The summer heat is on, and PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
Be at the Fair Park in Plymouth this Saturday night for an exciting night of racing. This week is also the popular Candy and Coin Drop presented by Vandevart Concrete. Also the second night of racing for the High School Racing Association. See the sprint cars, Grand Nationals, B-Mods, and Lightning Sprints. Gates open at 4:30, opening ceremony at 6. Saturday night, August 10th, it's championship night for the Super 6 late models. Great racing, good food. We'll see you there.
This is The Herd.
Wow, 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 wow.
With Colin Cowherd.
This stuff is so predictable. Everybody's freaking out with Caitlin Clark. Angel Reese is picking on her and hard fouls. Women who have committed flagrant fouls are not all villains. Diana Taurasi had one last year. Is she a villain?
This is The Herd.
Weekdays 3 to 6 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
Welcome back to the program. This is a real treat for us. This is one of those local kids done good stories. For those of you who have been going to Slinger Speedway for a long time, you know the name Zach Brown. Zach, he started out in the Slinger Bs and moved on to the late models where he's raced for several years. And just to show you how out of touch I really am, I didn't realize that Zach Brown is a full-time employee for the number 7 car in NASCAR. Zach joins us on the program right now, the Spire Motorsports engineer and tire specialist. How about that for Corey LaJoie, or for what's left of Corey LaJoie for the rest of this season? Zach, first time on the program. It's great to have you. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. It's good to be on the show.
How does a kid from Wisconsin who went to UW-Platteville and got a degree find himself living in Mooresville, North Carolina, and as an engineer and tire specialist for a NASCAR team?
That's a good question. I think about that a lot. Pretty much it was something that I always wanted to do ever since I was a little kid, and really just making as many connections as possible. Obviously, the racing community is kind of a small community. Everybody knows everybody, and so the more connections I was able to make up here, talking to people that work down there and people that know people down there, and making connections, reaching out to people on LinkedIn and making phone calls, dropping my resume off at Road America when the Cup Series was up there, and just networking there and made a couple phone calls and was able to make my way down there last year working for Hendrick Motorsports.
That's pretty cool. So what is a typical race day like for you? What are you doing on race day?
It's pretty crazy. We'll get to the track in the morning and kind of get in the hauler, get settled down. I'll print off a couple things for the driver and the crew chief to look over, and then I make sure that the tires are ready to go on the car. They do like a final adjustment period in the garage, so I make sure all the tires are ready for that, and then they'll start the car up and warm it up. And then once they do that, I kind of head to pit road, and some races we have 9 or 10, 11 sets of tires. You got to make sure all the pressures are set and all those, and there's no issues with them. You don't have one leaking or you don't have a defect in a tire, and kind of look everything over and start prepping them for the pit crew. And those guys will all prep the wheels. And then I go back to the hauler. We kind of have a final little team meeting where we go over a couple things and put the fire suit on and head out to pit road for the day.
So during the actual race, what types of things are you doing during the race?
So during the race, I'm making sure that the tires are all good for the pit crew, kind of staying organized with that, staying on top of adjustments. If we make an adjustment on a tire, making sure that, if we have to come in again, that the next tire is ready to go with that same adjustment. And then I also help out the pit crew. So the rear tire changer goes and runs around the car, and I'll throw the hose for him to make sure that doesn't get caught on the car and make sure the car behind us doesn't run it over. So that's kind of my duties throughout the race. And then when I can, looking at a little bit of strategy stuff and looking at the SMT data and kind of analyzing things, talking to the crew chief and other engineers, and kind of making decisions as we go throughout the race as far as what we think, when we think it's optimal to pit, and different strategy options like that.
What a cool team to be. Sorry, Dan. Cool team to be tied into, especially with Rodney Childers coming over there. I mean, that's a great mind to be able to tap into and learn from.
Yeah, we're really excited to bring Rodney over. He was one of those guys in the garage that, was looking for a job next year, and we thought that he'd be a great fit for Spire. And, we're trying to get big cars in victory lane, and, what better to have than the winningest crew chief in NASCAR. So
new boss.
Yeah.
Now you get a 2-week vacation, and what do? You bring your late model up here to run Slinger. Hey, you can't get away from that racing deal.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people at work were giving me a hard time about that. They're like, "You're trying to go to another racetrack on your weekend off?" I'm like, "Yeah, just can't stay away from it." And Slinger's one of those places that's special to me, and I've raced there ever since I was a little kid. Was going there when I was 5 years old, so really excited to be back and get back behind the wheel tonight, and hopefully we'll see how I do. Hopefully bring it home in one piece and have a good finish.
So I was just going to say, Zach, my sources tell me that you have let Travis Pastrana use your iRacing rig. Is this correct?
This is correct, yeah. I think back in 2022 or 2021, Travis came over and he hopped on my iRacing rig, took a couple laps before he headed up to Road America, and yeah, it was a pretty cool deal.
I have to I shake my head sometimes. You started going to Slinger when you were 5 years old?
Yep.
This is one of them, gee, Todd, you're an old ass. Yes, I am. I was there 10 years when you were 5 years old. Oh, my God. I can't believe it. It's coming full circle, and look at what you have done with your career, man. It's like a dream come true, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Yeah, it's something that I've always wanted to do as a kid, and it's pretty cool to be living it from racetrack to racetrack every weekend, going to all these places that I used to watch on TV, Bristol and Martinsville and Richmond and Vegas, and all these cool places we get to go every weekend. It's pretty cool.
I don't suppose you're involved in any of the talks about filling the seat.
I am not.
Of course. They called up and tell you we're thinking of changing drivers?
That would probably be a hard no.
Yeah.
I'm guessing not. That must send shockwaves through the shop recently. One, you find out you're getting Rodney Childers as your new boss, and two, you're finding out that Corey LaJoie is not going to be with you very, very much longer.
Yeah, it was all news in the last couple weeks, and I just guess we finished out the season, and I'm excited to work with Corey for the rest of the season and finish it out
and learn.
You
learn
like
from Rodney.
Yeah,
yes,
you like LaJoie?
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good guy. Good, fun to work with, or what?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well,
good
Zach,
luck tonight.
Good luck tonight back in your late model at Slinger Speedway, and best of luck in your career. We're gonna have you on every now and again to touch base with you and see how things are going, Zach.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you guys for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Zach Brown, UW Platteville graduate and engineer for the number 7 Spire Motorsports Cup team. How awesome is that? We'll be right back.
Get ready for the return of IndyCar to the Milwaukee Mile.
The NTT IndyCar Series returns to Milwaukee August 30th through September 1st for the Hy-Vee Milwaukee Mile 250s weekend.
Don't miss the first IndyCar event at the historic 1 Mile Oval since 2015, featuring an NTT IndyCar Series doubleheader with races on both Saturday and Sunday. Check out the free fan fun zone with live music, great food, and family fun all weekend long.
Get your tickets now at wistatefair.com and join us for a Labor Day weekend celebration at the Hy-Vee Milwaukee Mile 250s.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
The NASCAR playoffs begin Sunday, August 25th at the historic Milwaukee Mile. Tickets are on sale now for the Lyon 175 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race. Witness Wisconsin's own Ty Majeski and defending Milwaukee race winner Glenn Enfinger race for it all. The Sunday, August 25th NASCAR doubleheader kicks off with a Sprecher 150 ARCA Menard Series at high noon. Tickets start at $40. Kids 12 and under are free. It's NASCAR playoffs time in Milwaukee. Visit MilwaukeeMileRacing.com to get your tickets today.
Love it. Embrace it. Right now.
The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan Patrick. You could go back in history and watch one athlete play.
Well, I'd say Babe Ruth.
Any chance it would be disappointing?
But you're right. If I'm watching a baseball game and he goes 1 for 4 with a home run, be like, yeah, okay, he's good.
Catch up old Curly's fastball.
Yeah.
The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan and the Danettes and you.
Weekday mornings, 8 to 11 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
Welcome back. Well, of course, as we mentioned in our chat with Zach Brown, the news this week that Corey LaJoie has been given his pink slip. He will be there for the rest of the season in a kind of a lame duck kind of a situation. And the question will come up, who's going to replace him? The popular pick all week long has been Kyle Busch. We realize that Kyle Busch is in the middle of a 2-year contract. He still owes another year to Childress. But, Corey LaJoie had a 2-year contract too and will be bought out of his deal. So the question would be, what does Spire want to spend and with whom? Guys, to me, it looks, Rodney Childers isn't the kind of guy that we want to start a long-term project with a young driver. To me, and I might be wrong about this, it seems like you would want to have a guy who's ready to win a championship. Now, yeah, but we all go back and say, but it's Spire Motorsports. Well, they're spending a lot of money. And if you think back to a guy by the name of Haas, who suddenly decided to spend a lot of money, it won him a championship. The question would be, who's going to go to the number 7 car. Dan, you also have been watching closely on the internet. The popular, first of all, we all agree that the popular name was Rowdy, but after him, what is a driver or two that might make a little more sense?
I think everybody wants to see Kyle Busch there just because of being a veteran driver, the veteran crew chief, and Rodney Childers seems to do really well with veteran drivers. I like Kevin Harvick. But Rowdy's under contract. I mean, you gotta get around that. I know there's ways to do it, but right now that's kind of in the way, I think, in that deal. I think a popular notion is that maybe Zane Smith stays at Spire. He's there right now, and Trackhouse is kind of loaning him out or paying them to use their charter to park him, and they need that. They still got 4 drivers and 3 charters once they buy the Stewart Haas one. So they're going to have to find a place for him. And you let him go completely and go to like Ford or something like that? I mean, it's a Chevy team. I think right now the popular pick is going to be maybe Zane Smith through the Trackhouse deal to stay where he's at and be one of those cars at Spire. I don't know for sure. But now you look at that thing too. Now you got your veteran crew chief and that, Zane's still a newer driver. He's not a proven veteran yet. So that goes against what you were saying about maybe wanting to make that team take the absolute next step and put a veteran in there.
Yeah, it's going to be about money. And if you look at the situation that Kyle Busch is in, and you look at Childress and you look at Spire, and if you put them side by side and you do an honest analysis of the two teams, who do you think looks like they're moving upwards and who is kind of treading water or kind of sinking? And I would have to say Spire is the one that looks like they're going upwards, and Childress, you thought maybe they're going to take that next step, but they sure haven't this year. So if Spire can find a way to come up with enough money, to buy out and get Kyle Busch, I think that would be the move to make if you want to make a splash and show that you're a true team that wants to contend.
And Kyle Busch is a smart guy and would not make any moves without making sure that he believes in himself and in the team. And I can see him doing this just for the thought of working with Rodney Childers is a good. But let's look at some of the names here. We've got Corey Heim, a well respected young driver that I think is ready to take the next step. But is he, possible? Remember, Suarez, his contract is done at the end of this year for Trackhouse. Maybe now we all think that Suarez is going to be. It's a slam dunk that he will be renewed. True, but remember they have more drivers than they have cars over there, and that might lead to this whole thing too. A name that came up several times this week was Sam Mayer. Is he ready to make the next step? The thing is, that goes right back into do we want to have a project? Because Sam would definitely be a project. That does Childers feel like being basically a babysitter and getting a guy up to speed to run? Christopher Eckes. My thought it might be Eric Jones. It's a contract year for Eric. Would you want to stay at Jimmy Johnson's team there, that legacy team, or would you take this opportunity to leave there and work with Rodney Childers on a team like that's my guess that would be moving?
Sam Mayer deal. You think about it. His name's come up on the front row car, one of those cars too, and that Chevy want to lose a guy to Ford. There's how much backing is behind that. And remember when Sam was coming up in the Xfinity Series and that, I think Josh Berry did a lot of work with him as far as getting him just coaching kind of thing and helping him out that way. And Berry worked with Childers. So
on the Childers side of it, they're no position to go to 3 full-time teams. So the one out would be is if they think Austin Hill is ready to kind of move up and become a full-time Cup driver. Would you be able to, let Kyle Busch go and have, with some money, obviously they're not going to do it for nothing, but then be able to move Austin Hill into that full-time position and fill that spot?
That's too many Austins driving for that team. That's the wrong one to get rid of. It'd be Rowdy.
Well, I think the elephant in the room that everybody knows and has talked about before is that the only way Childress is going to actually get back to their winning ways is to end the nepotism.
Well, we all agree on that. Yeah. That's for sure. And, replacing his kid is one thing, but, losing Kyle Busch is a totally different set of circumstances.
Yeah, especially when he got him. Remember how all the sponsors kind of lined up? Suddenly that 8 car had all for sponsors, and we were saying how come Gibbs couldn't get that and stuff. I mean, there's a lot that Kyle Busch brings along just with his reputation. I mean, it was weird. His reputation as a winner,
Right.
Yeah, the reputation cuts both ways.
It does. Not the easiest to work with at times. As Andy Petrie will probably tell you from his lofty spot of retirement. But, it's about winning. And Kyle has to be convinced. If he's not convinced he's going to win in a Childress car and the way they're making their moves over there, I think that he would go in and say, Richard, you need to cut me loose. Not for nothing, I'm not going to do that. So, Spire, they got the money. They can do this.
You tell him, hold my watch.
Thanks for listening. We'll be back after these massages.
The summer heat is on, and PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
Be at the Fair Park in Plymouth this Saturday night for an exciting night of racing. This week is also the popular Candy and Coin Drop presented by Vandevart Concrete. Also the second night of racing for the High School Racing Association. See the sprint cars, Grand Nationals, B-Mods, and Lightning Sprints. Gates open at 4:30, opening ceremony at 6. Saturday night, August 10th, it's championship night for the Super 6 late models. Great racing, good food. We'll see you there.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
This is Two Pros and a Cup of Joe.
A stunning development in the world of sports. J.J. Redick is the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers.
I mean, what's their other option if it's not J.J. Redick? I'm not going to criticize the hire. Who knows? Maybe J.J. Redick could be a really good head coach.
Two Pros, LeVar Arrington, Brady Quinn, and a Cup of Joe, Jonas Knox.
Weekday mornings, 5 to 8 a.m. on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
And now the LTN Hour presents Dirt on the Dirt with Brian Schmidt.
Another busy week of dirt track racing across the country as we reach the dog days of summer here. We'll start Monday out in Davenport, Iowa. The XR Super Late Model Series was there, and Tyler Erb grabbed the win. The One Nation Under Modified Combination Modified Series was the undercard there. Cade Dillard continued his domination of that, grabbing the win. Tuesday night, Sarver, Pennsylvania, the Lernerville Speedway for the High Limit Sprint Car Series Don Martin Silver Cup. $25,000 to win on a Tuesday night. It went to Rico Abreu. Wednesday, Fairbury, Illinois, Castro Flow Racing Night in America for the Super Late Models, $20,000 to win. Ricky Thornton Jr. hopped aboard Kevin Rumley's car and picked
First
up the
one,
win.
right?
First one for Kevin Rumley. Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
yeah.
Cool. A couple races he's going to do here and there with them. York Haven, Pennsylvania on Wednesday night. BAPS Motor Speedway for the World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series. James McFadden grabbed that win. Friday night up at Chilton, Gravity Park. In the modifieds, it was Steve Miller. Stock cars, Mitch Meyer. Grand Nationals was Jeff Richards. Anago, Wisconsin. We haven't said that track in several years. I used to go there every single Friday night. During their fair at the Langlade County Speedway, the Dirt Kings Late Model Series made their first appearance up there, $2,500 to win, and Brett Swedberg grabbed the win. Over in Beaver Dam, Friday night at Dodge County Fairground, their one and only race this season there. For the IRA Sprint Cars, Scotty Thiel grabbed the win. The MSA 360 Sprints, that went to Brandon Berth. And the Modifieds were also there. Skylar Woods got the win. Seymour, the Outagamie County Speedway Friday night. The Modifieds, Johnny Whitman. Stock cars was Brett Wenzel. Over at Luxembourg, the Luxie Speedway for the IMCA Modifieds, that went to Cole Sarneski. IMCA Stock cars, Luke Lemons. Up at Superior, the Gondik Law Speedway, $5,000 to win. For the Wissota Late Models, Sammy Mars grabbed the win. The Wissota Modifieds went to Shane Zabrowski. Over at Darlington, the Lafayette County Speedway in the Modifieds, it was Jed Freeberger. And the Limited Late Models, Ty Webster. Putnamville, Indiana, Friday night, the Lincoln Park Speedway for the USAC Amsoil National Sprint Car. Their kickoff of Indiana Sprint Week. Logan Seavey grabbed the win. Mechanicsville, Pennsylvania, Williams Grove Speedway for the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars. TJ Stutz, a local guy, beat the Outlaws at Williams Grove for the win. And Fairbury, Friday night for the World of Outlaw Case Construction Late Models, the Prairie Dirt Classic. They had 4 preliminary features for the 78 late models they had there. Incredible field, 5,000 to win each. Ryan Gustin, Brandon Shepard, Mike Marler, and Jason Fager were all the winners there. Last night at Plymouth in the IRA Sprint Cars, Joel Myers Jr. grabbed his first win. Thrilling race. If you get to see that one, check it out on Flow. Great 3-wide racing there. A scary incident with Danny Schlafer leading the race, going through the fence in turn number 1. Landed outside the track. They were able to kind of support the fence so there weren't any sharp objects and able to keep racing and finish off the race. But they're going to have to do some work there this week to get that patched up for next week. 360 sprints went to Kurt Davis. Shawano, the IMCA Modifieds, Jordan Bartz was your winner. The Dirt Kings Late Model Series was there. Taylor Scheffler grabbed the win, and the stock cars went to Travis Van Straten. Francis Crick, the 141 Speedway last night, and the Modifieds, Russ Weinrald was your winner. John Rothman in the stock cars, and Taylor Rahn in the Grand Nationals. Wilmot, the IRA Wingless Sprints were the headliner. Alan Hefford was your winner. Sturgeon Bay, the Hill Raceway, stock cars went to Jeremy Johnson. Ashland in the Wissota Modifieds, that went to Mike Anderson. Cedar Lake Speedway, New Richmond, Wisconsin last night, $5,000 to win for the Wissota Modifieds. That went to Daryl Nelson. Their big USA Nationals is this coming weekend, $50,000 to win. Rice Lake, Wissota Late Model feature winner last night was Chad Mater, and the Modifieds went to Joe Chaplin Jr. Night number 2 for the Indiana Sprint Week was at Kokomo. Kyle Cummings was your winner. Williams Grove, night number 2 for the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars. That went to David Gravel. And finally, the big money race of the week was at Fairbury, Illinois, the Prairie Dirt Classic. $50,000 to win, plus $500 per lap leader money. And Bobby Pierce put on an incredible show last night. He did not finish his qualifying race, so he had to start 24th in the feature last night, worked his way up to 5th with 40 laps to go, got into an incident with Tim McCready, fell back to 19th with 40 laps to go, and on the last corner, last lap pass of Nick Huffman to win his first ever Prairie Dirt Classic. Nick Huffman led enough laps to total $39,000, so not a bad second place check, but an incredible race.
It's cool to
Prairie
see
Dirt just does it all the time. Did you watch that, Dan?
I did, and it's cool to see Bobby Pierce get a PDC win because he's tried a long time and been second a bunch. And I bet you that celebration at the bank was nuts.
Oh, yeah, it had to be. Unfortunately, we couldn't go this year. We usually always went to that race. So those same World of Outlaw Case Construction late models will be at Wilmot tomorrow night. So that's their only appearance here in southeastern Wisconsin. So if you want to check them out, tomorrow night is the night at Wilmot to see the late models. Yeah, and that'll be on Dirt Vision for those that can't make it. So that is everything for this week.
All right. On the asphalt side, this last week, last Sunday over at Slinger, Tanner Berge was the winner in the 602s. Ryan Gutnick was your late model winner. Thursday night at Wisconsin International Raceway in Kaukauna, super late model action. Lowell Bennett showing he's still got it, flexing with that Toby car.
Was second.
Yeah, love it.
Oh my God.
Good stuff, Maynard. Late model action, Brian Monday was your winner over there as well. Friday night, Grundy County Speedway in the super late models, it was Anthony Danta. Norway Speedway in the super late models, Joey Pointbraun was the winner in his Toby car. Thomas Sparta Speedway had the CWRA late models for some double features, and just like at Lacrosse previously, Paul Payne swept both of those features again. State Park Speedway had their Deachins Memorial Weekend. The Big 8 Series was in action. It was a slobber knocker with a great battle up at the front for the win. Michael Bilderback came out on top in his Toby car. Last night, the Arca Menard Series was at Salem Speedway. William Suwalich, pole winner, and led every lap. Only 3 cars finished on that lead lap.
Oh, my God.
Congrats to Willie. Dells Raceway Park had some great action last night. The 602s running. John Lemke was the winner there. They did double late model features. Mike Litchfield picked up the first one, and Penn Sauter, he got his first late model feature win there last night. Congratulations to him. Dave Troop, by the way, won one of the sportsman features. They did doubles as well, and that tied him for Dick Trickle's record for the most wins at the Dells. Pretty incredible for Dave Trout. Lacrosse Speedway also ran double features last night, the first of 5 in a row of double features. Jacob Gady was the winner of the first, and Brian Rolstead was the winner of the second. Over at Jefferson Speedway, the late models, Michael Guderski picked up the checkered flag. And then last night as well, the ASA Midwest Tour ran at State Park Speedway, closing out the Deachins Memorial Weekend in that 125 lapper. Justin Mondyke handily winning in his Toby car. Race Hayes was second, Ty Majeski third, Gabe Summers fourth, and Casey Johnson fifth. And that is all the results for asphalt.
The late models take center stage tonight at Slinger Speedway. Be sure to be there for that. This week was the announcement of the class of 2024 for the Wisconsin Short Track Hall of Fame. And congratulations to Nate Hosley, Matt Kenseth, which we knew was coming from last year when he couldn't make the ceremony. And so they had a different person last year. This year, Matt will be there for the induction. Scott Hansen, Pat Schauer, and Jimmy Fennig all getting elected to the Wisconsin Short Track Hall of Fame. If you're like me, you said, Pat Schauer wasn't already in the Hall of Fame. Well, you know what? Sometimes it takes a while for it to come around, and they make sure that guys that belong in it are actually in it. And it seems like that's what happened this year. And congratulations to those 5. Pretty great stuff. 4 out of the 5 are still with us and will be there. The traditional date for the induction ceremony is the first Saturday night in November. So congratulations. Wonderful stuff. And this seems like a good time to sneak away. When we come back, we'll have a few notes from around the world of NASCAR.
Get ready for the return of IndyCar to the Milwaukee Mile.
The NTT IndyCar Series returns to Milwaukee August 30th through September 1st for the Hy-Vee Milwaukee Mile 250s weekend.
Don't miss the first IndyCar event at the historic 1 Mile Oval since 2015, featuring an NTT IndyCar Series doubleheader with races on both Saturday and Sunday. Check out the free fan fun zone with live music, great food, and family fun all weekend long.
Get your tickets now at wistatefair.com and join us for a Labor Day weekend celebration at the Hy-Vee Milwaukee Mile 250s.
The NASCAR playoffs begin Sunday, August 25th at the historic Milwaukee Mile. Tickets are on sale now for the Lionel 175 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race. Witness Wisconsin's own Ty Majeski and defending Milwaukee race winner Grant Enfinger race for it all. The Sunday, August 25th NASCAR doubleheader kicks off with the Sprecher 150 ARCA Menard Series at high noon. Tickets start at $40. Kids 12 and under are free. It's NASCAR playoffs time in Milwaukee. Visit MilwaukeeMileRacing.com to get your tickets today.
Love it. Embrace it. Right now.
The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan Patrick.
That job is sort of the Cowboys' job of the NBA. Everything is under the microscope. Everything. And you got LeBron in there as well. So JJ has to be able to filter out all of the naysayers, the criticism. There's going to be so much gossip here.
The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan and the Danettes and you.
Weekday mornings, 8 to 11 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
All right, welcome back to the program. I don't know if you saw, John Force was released from the hospital. He immediately announced his retirement from racing. So the great John Force is not going to. He's going through some outpatient physical rehab, and hey, he could have been killed. It's a miracle he's alive, and the guy's 75 years old. So good for him. It was a great career. Not the greatest way you want to go out, but what's a good way? I don't know. This week, you didn't think Jimmy Johnson was a very active car owner? Is that what you were thinking? He fired his crew chief and his entire crew from the 84 car. No replacements have been named. And there were, when I saw this on the internet, these people are just hilarious. Oh, they should have fired the driver instead. Hello? He's the owner of the team. That's the last guy gets fired. We'll put some new guys around Jimmy Johnson.
And still got 3 more races to run, right?
Yeah, definitely. Greg Galding, you remember the name? There was a domestic violence charge against him from last April. I don't know if it was. I guess it was his girlfriend. Well, whatever. I love you. It's all over. Would drop the charges, and Greg Galding will be eligible to come back to NASCAR. I don't even know that he has to do any kind of penance, because I think with the charges being dropped, that means nothing was there in the first place. It's all gone. Now we got to see if Greg Galding is going to be able to get himself into a ride. The NFL, oh my God, the NFL is king, and we all know it. What they want to do, everybody else works around them. Doesn't matter what it is. It used to be they didn't play football games on Saturdays because there was a tip of the cap to college football. We don't want to go head to head with college. Well, that's out the window. They didn't want to play football games on Friday nights because that's grassroots. That's high school football. That's out the window. They do that now too. The NFL is deciding whether or not, and then I think it's a slam dunk myself, whether to go from a 17 to an 18 game schedule. They're not going to start earlier, folks. They're going to push it back a week. And remember how all those years they kept saying, "Jays, it should be a holiday the day after the Super Bowl because everybody's hungover," or you could maybe have it on Saturday. Either way, the President's Day weekend has been the traditional date for the Daytona 500, and now the Super Bowl will more than likely get pushed back to President's Day weekend, which is what they were looking for a holiday weekend. And now the Daytona 500 is going to have to redo their date, and probably NASCAR will have to redo their entire schedule around that. So let's keep that in mind.
NFL is just the big pig out there. That's just what they are.
And, we all understand that. We deal with it. We live with it. They are the ones that get the ratings, and that's what it's all about. If they
it's going to squeeze the Cup Series schedule a little more. I mean, these 2 weeks here are the only 2 week break they have the entire season. So now imagine having to move Daytona back, a week. Now you're down to one. If you're going to keep the same schedule the way it is, you're down to 1 week off the entire season going forward after the Olympics. This is the last. We're not going to see this again with the Olympics because NBC picks up coverage in the playoffs going forward starting next year. So I don't know. That's a squeeze for the teams, that's for sure.
If you'll remember, a couple of years back at New Hampshire, got rained out and they pushed it to Thanksgiving weekend. And, it seems to me that we could be racing on Thanksgiving in the future.
That was 2001, and it didn't get rained out. That was right after the New York attacks and everything. Nothing was going on.
That's what it was. Oh, my God.
9/11. Yep.
Yeah, pushed it back. So they have raced Thanksgiving weekend in the past. Of course, the fact that would mess with certain short track races down at the Freedom Factory, that NASCAR doesn't really think about stuff like that, does it?
Zero, what's given on that.
Yeah, you got that right. So remember that the next NASCAR race will be 2 weeks from today on the 11th, and it is at Richmond, and it's going to be a Sunday night race. So that's your next one. Keep that in mind as we get going. NASCAR has a new system. They're talking about installing a new lift system in the cars. It's going to be an some kind of an air lift device, kind of an air shock perhaps, that when something happens and you got a flat tire and a car can't move because the tire is completely flat, you can't tow it, you can't push it, nothing. They're going to put this new lift system in, and the safety crew will be able to go and lift the car up and tow it back into your pits or garage, and then let the air out again, and then NASCAR will work. Oh my God!
Why can't we just go to a normal tire? I mean, I know they don't want to admit that they screwed up with this tire package, but an Xfinity, a truck, ARCA, all those guys, you get a flat tire, you drive it in. But this tire, because it has such a small sidewall and there's so much ground effects, as soon as the tire goes down, the car don't move. But let's go back to the normal tire. Maybe the racing would be better. You see the racing in the Xfinity series? It's outstanding.
See Ross Chastain's vacation plans next week?
Oh, what's that?
Road America. He'll be in the one of the IMSA races.
Oh, IMSA race. Yeah. Woo-hoo! By the way, the ratings were up 28% for last week's Indy race. So good for all of us. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. as we like to tell you, you guys are awesome, and our internet listeners and our listeners on the Big 920, you keep us going, and we do appreciate it. And as we like to remind everybody, real race cars have doors, even if they do climb in through the windows. Let's Talk NASCAR is produced and directed by Dangerous Dan Margetta. Our engineer is Matt Losi. And for all of us involved with the program, we love you guys, and we'll see you next week.
This program has come to you live from multiple locations via Skype. Any and all comments expressed on this show do not necessarily express the opinions of this station, its employees, or advertisers. Your comments are always welcome at mail@ltnradionetwork.com. Find us at facebook.com/LTN Radio Network. And thank you for your support since 1985. Tune in again next Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time for the LTN Hour on the LTN Radio Network.